Morning in Vellora does not arrive loudly. It arrives like a secret, carried gently by mist, whispered by water, and revealed only to those who wait. The bridge had stood for more than 100 years. It had carried lovers, traders, soldiers, and mourners. And now, it waited for 2 more souls who did not yet know that their lives were already changing. Arman had not slept well. Dreams of his brother had followed him through the night, laughing, running, vanishing into mist just as always. Every morning since arriving in Vellora, he walked before the town woke, not because he liked mornings, but because silence felt safer than memories. He stood at the middle of the bridge, looking down at water that never stopped moving. "Maybe you're like him," he whispered. "You move on even when I cannot." Lina had followed the wind. It had brushed her window, tugged at her curtain, and somehow called her outside. She didn't know why she walked, only that something inside her said, "Go." Not away. Toward. When she saw Arman on the bridge, she stopped for a moment, not wanting to break whatever quiet he carried. Then he turned, and their eyes met like 2 thoughts finally finding the same sentence. "Couldn't sleep?" Lina asked. "Couldn't stop remembering," Arman replied. They stood in a space between words. Not awkward, not empty, just honest. "I come here when I don't know what to write," Lina said. "It helps me listen." Arman looked at the water. "I came because I don't know how to forget." They used to race each other down hills. His brother always won, not because he was faster, but because he never looked back. "Don't be scared," his brother would shout. "The world catches you." But one day, the world did not. "I lost my brother," Arman said quietly. "In another town, another mountain, another life." Lina did not speak. She did not fix him with words. She only stayed. "I thought coming here would help me forget," he continued. "But Vellora keeps reminding me that forgetting is not healing." "My fiancé died in a city that never slept," Lina said. "And when he died, my words died with him." She opened her journal and showed Arman a page. Only 1 sentence was written. "Sometimes love doesn't end. It just changes where it lives." "I think," she said, "that pain doesn't want to leave us. It just wants to be understood." They did not hold hands. They did not promise anything. But their footsteps found the same rhythm. And as they reached the end of the bridge, a gust of wind lifted a small folded paper from the ground and placed it at their feet. Arman picked it up. Written in fading ink. "Some losses are not endings. They are doors you haven't opened yet." They looked at each other, and for the first time, the mystery of Vellora felt personal. Not frightening, not strange. Close, very close. Some mornings carry answers. Others carry questions so heavy they change the way you breathe. Arman sat by the window, sketchbook resting on his knees. The town had just begun to wake. Cups clinking in tea houses, footsteps echoing on stone. Life continuing without asking who was still hurting. He flipped through his pages slowly. Lanterns, trees, faces he didn't remember drawing. Then he stopped. One page did not belong to him. The lines were different. Not his hand, not his style. Yet the face on the page. It was his brother. Not as he was before disappearing, but older, thinner, tired. Arman's heart forgot how to beat for a moment. The eyes were unmistakable. The scar near the brow. The quiet sadness he had learned to recognize since the night he lost him. "This is impossible," Arman whispered. He had never drawn this. He would have remembered. And yet, the paper was his. The book was his. But the hand that drew this was not. Lina saw his face before he spoke. "What happened?" she asked. Arman handed her the book without a word. She studied the drawing slowly. "It looks like someone you loved," she said. "My brother," Arman replied. "He vanished 2 years ago. And this face is not from 2 years ago." Lina felt a chill that had nothing to do with the air. "He said he would come back in a week." He never did. Phones rang without answers. Doors opened without him. Only silence returned. This drawing says he was alive recently, Lina said. And here? Arman nodded. Someone in Vellora knows him. The wind outside tapped against the glass like a warning. Or a welcome. They did not tell anyone where they were going. 'Cause they did not know. They only knew one thing. The sketch had to come from somewhere. And Vellora never gave without asking something in return. The art shop smelled of paper and dust. An old man looked up from behind the counter. "You are looking for a hand," he said. Arman froze. "How did you?" "I know every hand in this town," the man said calmly. "But that one," he pointed at the sketch, "does not belong to Vellora. It belongs to someone who comes only when the wind changes." The man said, "A traveler. A watcher. Where is he now?" Arman asked. The old man shook his head. "No one knows. But the wind will tell you when he returns." Outside, the wind rose suddenly. And somewhere in Vellora, someone who should not exist, was very close. Not everyone in Vellora lived within its streets. Some watched from above. High on the ridge, where wind spoke louder than people, a man stood wrapped in a dark coat. His eyes followed the town like a map he already knew by heart. He did not belong. Yet he returned. Always. They called him nothing. Because names gave power. And power was dangerous. He saw Arman and Lina walking below, unaware. Saw the sketchbook tucked under Arman's arm. Saw the question growing between them. "Too soon," he whispered. The wind answered in silence. Years ago, another man had walked this road. Lost, afraid, bleeding hope with every step. Arman's brother. He collapsed near a bend where trees leaned like they were listening. And the stranger found him. He did not ask his name. He did not ask his story. Some truths are too heavy to speak aloud. He carried him through the wind, through silence, through days that refused to end. And in that journey, promise was made without words. Now years later he returned. Not because he wanted to, but because the wind demanded it. The sketch had been a mistake. A memory that should not have survived paper. And now, past was waking. They felt it too. A weight in the air. Pause in the wind. "Something is coming," Lina said softly. Arman nodded. "I don't know what. But I feel watched." No one noticed him. Not the baker. Not the children. Not the woman closing her shop. But the town felt him. Because Vellora always knows when a secret walks its streets. "I kept you alive," he whispered. "But I cannot keep you hidden forever." Somewhere in town, a brother waited without knowing. And the wind prepared to bring them face to face. Morning in Vellora arrived quietly, as if afraid to disturb what the night had brought. Mist floated like forgotten thoughts. And the bridge stood patient, listening to footsteps that did not belong to it. A man crossed alone. His steps were careful, as though the stones might remember him. And they did. The stranger paused halfway. Below him, water moved like time, never stopping, never explaining. He touched the railing, the same place where years ago he had leaned with a wounded man, who whispered a name he could not forget. "Arman," the stranger said softly. Not to the water, to memory. The injured man had smiled weakly. "I don't think I'll make it far." The stranger answered. "You will. Even if I have to carry you to tomorrow." Promises made in the dark are the hardest to escape. That same morning Arman arrived. He didn't know why his feet brought him here. Only that something pulled him. He lifted his camera, framed the bridge, and froze. Because in his lens stood a man who felt familiar. The stranger turned. Their eyes met. The world held its breath. Not recognition, but something close to it, like standing before a word. "You almost remember." Neither spoke. The wind moved between them, like it wanted to speak for them. Finally the stranger said, "You don't remember me." Arman shook his head slowly. No, but I feel like I should. The injured man had once said. If I don't survive, find my brother. Kill him. I tried. Now. The brother stood right in front of him. I knew someone you loved, the stranger said. Someone who walked these mountains with hope in his hands. Arman's breath tightened. My brother, he whispered. The stranger nodded once. And the past stepped closer, no longer willing to stay silent. When the fog lifted, it did not disappear. It only loosened its grip, as if even mist needed time to accept what was coming. Arman stood still. The stranger stood steady. Between them, a name waited to be spoken. My brother's name was Ryan, Arman said softly. He always said the wind liked him more than people did. The stranger inhaled sharply. He said the same thing, he replied. Before he collapsed, the air changed, because truth had entered it. Ryan had laughed even when he was tired. He believed sadness could not survive if you smiled long enough. But sadness is patient. I found him bleeding near the mountain bend, the stranger said. He asked me not to call anyone. Said his past would follow him. Arman's heart pounded. What past? The stranger looked away. Danger, he said. People who don't forgive. Ryan had crossed the mountains running from something. He never said what. Some fears grow stronger when named. Did he live? Arman asked. The stranger closed his eyes. Yes, he said. But not the way he wanted. They walked for days. Through cold nights. Through hungry mornings. Ryan survived. But survival is not always the same as freedom. He is alive, the stranger said. But he is not safe. The wind moved sharply, as if warning them. Some truths do not come alone. Some paths are not chosen. They are remembered. Arman walked beside the stranger, each step echoing questions he was afraid to ask. The trees leaned inward, as if listening to the story they were about to hear. This is the way he came, the stranger said. Every stone knows his weight. Lina followed a few steps behind. Not to intrude, but to witness. Some stories need more than one heart to carry them. The wind whispered low, not guiding, but remembering. Ryan had leaned on every tree, left part of his pain on every root. He had whispered, "Don't let me disappear." And the forest had listened. He slept there, the stranger said, barely breathing. Arman knelt, touching the stone. Cold, silent, but not empty. I feel him, Arman whispered, like he is still walking ahead of us. When Ryan could no longer walk, the stranger carried him, not because he was strong, but because he could not leave him. Sometimes kindness is heavier than bodies. Lina touched a tree marked with a faint carving. A single letter, R. He left himself here, she said, so he wouldn't be forgotten. The stranger stopped. His face changed. This is where they almost found him, he said. Who? Arman asked. The men he ran from. The wind grew sharp. Beyond that valley, the stranger said, is where his life split in two. One part still belonged to Arman. The other was waiting in shadows. Some places carry fear like a memory. You feel it before you understand it. The valley below them looked calm. But calm can hide storms. The stranger stopped walking. They searched here, he said. And they almost found him. Arman felt his chest tighten. Why were they chasing him? The stranger's voice dropped. Because he saw something he wasn't meant to. Lina stepped closer to Arman. What did he see? People who make secrets disappear, the stranger said. Ryan had hidden here for hours. Not moving. Not breathing. He said the men carried no mercy in their eyes. They took my brother from me, Arman said. Even if he lived, they stole his life. The stranger nodded. Yes, and they are still watching. The wind bent the grass flat, like someone hiding. Lina whispered, I don't like this place. The stranger answered. Neither did Ryan. Run when you can, he had told Ryan. They don't forgive. Ryan had nodded. But weak legs cannot outrun fate. I brought him away from here, the stranger said. But danger has long memory. Arman looked around. Do you think they're near? The stranger answered only with silence. High on the ridge, a shadow did not move, only watched. And the wind carried one clear truth. The past had not finished with them. The sun lowered itself behind the mountains like a tired traveler. Gold faded into amber, amber into shadow. Arman, Lina, and the stranger stood still. 3 quiet figures carved against the sky. Below them the valley breathed slowly, peacefully. But peace can be a disguise. Arman's eyes remained fixed on the distant ridge where the shadow had stood. Who are they? He asked softly. The stranger answered. Men who profit from silence. Lina felt the cold even though the air was warm. If they hurt your brother, she began. Arman closed his eyes. They already did. He opened them again, steady now. But I won't let them finish what they started. Lina placed her hand gently on his arm. You won't face this alone. For the first time since coming to Vellora, Arman did not feel broken. He felt awake. Pain had shaped him. But purpose had rebuilt him. Ryan's laughter once echoed like birdsong. Free, bright. That sound lived inside Arman like a candle flame, still burning. The stranger reached into his coat. This belonged to your brother. Arman froze. He took the notebook carefully. Inside were sketches of Vellora. Symbols, faces with no names, and one sentence. If I disappear, follow the wind north. Lina whispered. He wanted to be found. The stranger nodded. And he still might be. Hope rose slowly, cautiously. Like a fragile sunrise. They turned back toward Vellora. Not as strangers anymore, but as allies. Behind them the mountains kept their secrets. Ahead the town waited. So did danger. So did truth. That night, the wind returned to the streets of Vellora. Persistent. Carrying memory. And warning. Arman stood at his window, notebook in hand. Lina wrote in her journal. Some stories begin with love. Ours began with loss. But perhaps it will end with both healing and justice. Far beyond the hills, unseen eyes still watched. But courage had begun to grow, quietly, like roots beneath stone.